And so I wanted to go over a couple of things for InDesign. I hope that everybody's having a good week. Okay, so looking at this postcard that you guys have worked on before, I focus quite a bit on design. Okay, so you're thinking, do I need to know everything about InDesign? Obviously you need to know the basic information about it, you need to find your way around it, why things are the way they are, etc., etc. However, it's not just about knowing the tools, it's knowing how to use them. So a lot of times I tell my students face to face, no matter what you do, whether you're designing a postcard, a brochure, a logo, go ahead and create some thumbnails or some sketches. And what does that mean? Usually for me, that means grabbing a sheet of tracing paper or marker paper and a Sharpie and like laying things out on it quickly and see how the layer is going to work. So if I were doing this layout, I would just make a rectangle on the outside because it would be a postcard. You don't have to do it the actual size. It can be a little one. And then how would I lay the pictures there? Would I take a whole picture here? Do I want to take the picture all the way to the edge? Do I want to bring it in? How about this one? Do I want to take this box all the way to the edge? Do I want it to touch the other one kind of like it's touching? And what you're doing by doing all of that, then you're getting rid of the bad ideas, basically. So you're laying out what you think it works. If it doesn't work on a thumbnail that is really rough, really loose, then it's just not gonna work, even if when you bring it into the computer. So what you want to do, you want to go ahead and really take your time through that. Now looking at this, there are a couple of things that you have to remember. So looking at this layout, I like how they brought in, they put a guide here and brought it in a quarter of an inch all the way around. That means that this layout had no bleeds. And what does that mean? A bleed means when a picture, if I were going to take this picture and bring it out here, and you're calling a printer and you're saying, yeah, I would like to print this postcard, and they're like, tell me about it. Do you have any bleeds? Well, yes, I actually have a bleed on one side. This is what you mean. Now, when you do a bleed, if you wanted to go to the edge, don't bring it in and stop right here. Don't bring it out here. You want to bring it out at least an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch on here. And what that allows the printer to do, when they trim the paper and the paper shifts, you're not going to get a hairline of white in here that looks like a mistake. You're going to get color. So this is what that bleed means. But in this instance, there are no bleeds at all. Even when you go to the second page, no bleeds. Bleeds, also keep in mind, it means more money. It means it's more expensive. So especially on a postcard, if you're going to be doing a postcard and let's say that you're going to be printing, I don't know, 2,500 on, they're going to be through the mail. You want to go ahead and do the least expensive way. And sometimes that means cutting off the bleed because, again, either they don't have to use that extra paper. Okay, now how do you make something interesting? So looking at this, and you're zooming. Let's zoom into this. How do you make things stand out? You want to work on your typography. Like as an instance here, this type right here, they went ahead and opened the tracking on something like this. And what does that mean? When you look at the character here, and let me pull it out here. When you look at the character and go go to type character, you can achieve this in very many ways, right? You can achieve this by doing that space between each one of the letters. Or you can go ahead and achieve that by moving the tracking. So if I was gonna do workshop, okay? And another way of they achieve that is if you look right here on your justification table, these letters are opening up because of the justification. But if I go over here and just justify it left, then you get that. Now, over here what is tracking? Now I want you to understand there's tracking and there's kerning. Kerning is the space between each letter. Tracking is when you grab a sentence or a word and you do the same tracking all the way across. In this instance, I'm gonna go over here to my character window. I'm putting 30 as an example. Probably like more like 130. And let's see, and all of it, all I'm doing, I'm guesstimating based on how the numbers are opening up. Positive numbers, open up the numbers, open up the characters, and negative numbers, make them closer together. So here we go. So you notice it's pretty similar when it comes to here. So you can either select this by doing the justify tool, or do it like this by using and opening the tracking all the way across. The headline. And here's what you're thinking, like in here they're trying to bring attention to the workshop. So it's not the most important things, but still it's a pretty prominent thing, piece of information. So, maybe make it not as big as the headline, but by the way, there's a workshop on plant hummingbird garden. So in the headline, how do you make it stand up? Well, you're gonna play with different fonts. And you're gonna go through here and see what fonts you have. Like this would be awful, kind of okay. You come over to, how about this? This kind of works. Like if I do something like this, maybe I size it down. You don't want to have that dash right there. Plan A. Maybe I want to do something like that, and that would work. And then I can go in here and make this slightly bigger. Okay, possibly. That's an idea. If you don't have the fonts that you want, and you cannot find them at all, then you can go in here and select find more. And even you can organize your fonts here by saying, okay, do you want sans serif, serif, Stila serif? Do you want script? Do you want black letter? Do you want monospace? Do you want handwritten? Do you want decorative? What do you want? So you can go ahead and select some of that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the second workshop that I created. Okay, now you have copy here. So if you see it like this, on an ad, this will be a headline, and the information is called copy. Well, I think a size 12 is a little too large. It's like, I know we're doing everything digitally and you don't want to print, but when you're designing this, I would suggest that you go ahead and print this, because when you print it, you may look at this and go, oh, that's slightly too big, or it's not. This font here right now actually works decently. I mean, it's not the best, but it works. And this is also a combination of having like a sans serif font, sans serif headline here, and then you have a serif font. So you have to find two fonts that actually complement each other. So this work. You can also let's say I just don't want to use a serif font in this. I just want to use a sans serif. So if you wanted to use a sans serif font, see how much bigger it looks? Maybe I want to bring it down to like 9 points and deselect. Also notice in here, under object, text frame options, and you can see here they went ahead and put an inset spacing. The inset spacing is the space between the edge of the box to here. So that inset spacing provides them that border all the way around, that imaginary border. So that's one way to do it. If you open up a document, you're like, I really want to fix that. You know, it's not quite working for me. Then you want to select that object, text frames option. And then here it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put a 0.15 as an example. And you click all of them, and there we go. It adjusted a little bit more. And you can just select the preview. This is where it was. This is where it would be if you click OK, or you can press cancel. You know, just play with it. Don't assume that the first layer that you use is the best one. So, and how do you keep something interesting? Like this image, you can actually, if you're doing this quarter border all the way around, there's nothing wrong with this. Coming down here, and let's say that is, there we go. Okay, that is set up was at a 3. So I can go in a quarter of an inch from here. And I decide, well, you know what? I just don't want them to touch. I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. Because we have this whole motif of a quarter of an inch. A quarter of an inch, this is not quite a quarter. All the way around. You could do that too, but also how do you keep it interesting? Maybe you do want this image to touch. And I wouldn't leave it right touching here, edge to edge. I would probably bring this over a little bit and make sure that this image is, you go arrange and you do send to back, and that image is on the back of the brown. So in case you know that there's no white line in here, that there's literally no gap between the color and the image. Okay, so let's move to page 2. So I was looking at something else. Okay. So looking at this panel, it's pretty standard, you know. So this document looks like it's 6.0 to 6 inches by like 4 something. And you can also go to File, Document Setup. So you can see here 6 inches by 4.25. In design, usually, if somebody tells you the first number, usually that's mostly the width. You do want to double check, but if I say you're going to do a postcard, it's 6 by 4. That means it's 6 inches wide and 4 inches long. So they have the margin a half an inch all the way around. Okay, so you know that's the size. I usually like to bring in, so if this is 6, I'm going to bring a guide and put it right here. In the postcard, they're going to use, this is what the post office is going to use. So this is where you're going to use the label. The stamp is going to go over here, right? Let me select this. This is a size 9. That should be like this, just big enough. So, how do you make something interesting? You don't have to put this outline here, but it's a cool little shape. I mean, it's not a boring postcard. You're making it look interesting. It complements the colors that it has in the front. It has the workshop again, plant a hummingbird garden. Now you want to make sure that this font, which is this Bebas, yeah. Like this, that font and that font will be the same because it would be, that's what you're using. And then this font, and let's say we use, what was that? That's that Montserrat. So you want to here and select that medium here, and then we'll go here. And maybe I'll size it down because remember, the sizes do vary depending on what font you're using. I feel that it needs to be stand out a little bit more. I know it's bold and it's lowercase, but I feel like it needs more attention. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this make this small caps. And I'm gonna go ahead and change it to that because I don't like that Marriott font. Bold here, and maybe I'll take the free and make it like a size 18 to bring attention to that. And then that's, I mean, I feel like it stands out a little bit more. And there you have it. And the problem with this is like, it doesn't look center because of how this text lays out, but maybe if I bring this to the next line, no, I actually like it like this a little bit. It's actually better. This is a nice balance between the top and bottom. Okay. So you see what I'm doing is like you have to think this stuff through. I want you to really pay attention to this. If you're going to, let's say that you are going to send this to the printer, and I recommend that you do this with every assignment, not necessarily with your lessons, but when you're working on a portfolio piece, I do recommend that you do this. So as an example, you're going to bring it, you got a new computer, or you're going to send it to the printer. What you want to do, you want to go to File, Package, and you want to click on Package. Yes, you got to save it. Let's say we're just going to put it on the desktop for now. Then it's going to create a folder. And in this folder, it's asking you, okay, you want to copy the fonts? Yes, that's always a yes. You want to copy the link graphics and the pictures of the link graphics? Yes, you do want those too. You want to update graphic links in package? Yes, I would like to do that as well. Do I need to use a document hyperdentation? No, probably not. Include fonts and links from hidden and printing data? Probably not. Include IDML and include PDF. So IDML is another format of an InDesign file. So let's say that somebody's working on an old version of InDesign and they cannot open your .indd file. So when they open that IDML, they're able to actually access that file. So I usually include it on the PDF. What quality do you want? Let's say it's going to go to the printer. I would like to have it press quality. Here you have high quality, you have smallest size. It's going to a printer, I like to use press quality. And I select package, select OK. And I know the desktop is so messy and I apologize. But there we go. Little better, right? Little better. Here's the file. So you can see that's the INDD file, the IDML that I was telling you about. And if you double click on this, that's the PDF. So this way they have the PDF, they have the InDesign file. I provide them with everything. Sometimes they go, just go ahead and send me the PDF. We don't need the InDesign file. And also when you want to look at this, you also see a folder It has all of the document fonts that you've used in that file, and the links, it includes all of the images that you have been using for that file. So, let's say that you want to save this in your Google Drive. I always recommend that you save it in your Google Drive or in your USB or your external hard drive, wherever it is. Make sure you save it. And you save everything, because if you work on a different computer that's not yours, you may not have the images or the fonts. But I don't like to save this folder as it is, just like that. I actually like to zip the folder. So if you're on a Mac, select the folder, select the control key, and select compress. And this is the folder that you want. And this is the folder that you're going to save. You can download it and open it up. And this also, what that allows you to put in your Google Drive, it decreases the chances of you guys getting corrupted fonts and files that sometimes you can't open. So that's my recommendation there.